I'm pretty darn hip to sort of your perspective on those core and essential techniques. I think that anybody tuning in, sort of pondering what do they or could they want to learn first, having multiple perspectives, keeping Bruce Lee's philosophy alive is essential. Having the perspective of a guy who's trained in GKD and trained in all these 5 different dimensions, I think, is cool because, again, having the perspective not just being a weapons guy or just being a ground fighting guy, ladling out sort of that list of core and fundamentals, I think, is worth considering for anybody who wants to fight. I also like the emphasis on gross motor skills. I think Krav tends to articulate the importance of that often as well. Speaking of training, I guess, just because I realize we're just about on time, if somebody wants to actually get out there and train Jeet Kune Do and they're interested in training GKD for self-defense, and they're wondering, is there a school around me? Is the school decent? How do I know this? What is your advice? You're a guy who's been training for a while. Obviously, you're getting contracted for Army, Navy, Air Marshals, et cetera, teaching people of all ages. If somebody wants to have kind of the real deal self-defense experience from GKD training, what should they keep their eyes out for to make sure they're really going to get that from where they want to go?
Well, you know what? I would love it if there was like one huge head overseeing JKD community that could just say, hey, listen, these are the guys to go to. The challenge is that once again, you're going to have those two sects. You're going to have people who, are what we call original JKD people, and you're also going to have the other side, which is more conceptual JKD. So I'm not going to sit here and say which one is right or wrong. I'm just going to say that once again, a person's goals have to first be really established first. What does the person want out of training? If they want something that's a little bit more classical, that's a little bit more, let's say, original, the way that Bruce left it, well, you have to search out those original JKD people. If it's more conceptual, stuff where it includes all these different areas of self-defense, well, then once again, you got to search out those people. The best thing to do is once again, do your due diligence. Contact, a lot of different people who are in the arts. It's not like, unfortunately, our art is not like a Taekwondo art where there's a Taekwondo school at every single street corner in most major cities. It is one of those things where you really got to seek out those people. So I would love to have an answer where you just have to go to, let's say, a directory and find the closest JKD school. It really takes a lot of research on finding, where those JKD practitioners are, where those instructors are, and also is that instructor going to be able to meet your needs as far as what you want out of a certain martial arts. So
Yeah.
that's kind of my answer there. I'm sorry, it's probably not the answer that most people want.
No, that's fine. I definitely want the straight and narrow. I definitely didn't want the easy answer. In terms of doing that homework and making that distinction and decision about, who's real or who ain't, what for you is arguably of the greatest import there? I mean, are you looking to see if this guy has taught military? Are you looking to kind of talk to him about his philosophy? Should you just be Googling the guy's name and figure? I mean, what does the homework look like? Assuming somebody says, okay, there's 2 or 3 places within driving distance. Here's what for me is, here's what I'm going to figure out to make a decision on where to go to potentially get my first classes in.
You know what? Excellent question. I'm so glad you asked me that. I mean, it was so funny you asked me that question because maybe about 8 or 10 years ago, Black Belt Magazine had me write an article on, what are the key things that a new student should look for when searching out of school. And, now as I've been teaching now for, like I said, 20 years, the one main thing is that are your goals going to be able to be met by the instructor? And I think that's a big thing. And, because, I see so many instructors these days in the martial arts, they want to go ahead. They want to put themselves up on a pedestal. They think that their information is going to be able to grace the earth, kind of like, what you and I were talking about before. And the biggest thing that I can say is that are you going to have an instructor who's going to pay attention to your needs, your goals, your wants and desires? Because I have, just so many people who they get into a martial arts class and they find out in a short period of time, hey, listen, this may not be worth my time. And it's not worth their time because the instructor's not a good instructor, because their needs are not getting met as a student. And so, that's a very, very general kind of answer for you. But I really want to make sure that all practitioners know that, whatever your goal is in martial arts, can you find an instructor who's going to pay attention to your personal goals? I think that's probably the most important thing that I can tell practitioners who are looking for somewhere to learn or some program to obviously
Yeah. And do you think it's worth having that frank conversation, whether it's on a call or whether it's the first class, being like, hey, my real desire here is to be able to understand realistic self-defense. I want to protect myself and my family. I can't train 7 days a week, but I am willing to train. I just, these are really what I'm explicitly looking to get out of it. Do you think this place is a fit for me, or why might it be a fit for me if you think it is? And do you think that from your experience working with various instructors, is sort of tight enough and more concise enough way to sort of figure that out?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I think it comes down to realizing that there's three different types of schools out there. There's your traditional martial arts schools, and those have certain benefits. There's your sports-centered schools, and those obviously have great benefit as well. And then there's your more kind of realistic, kind of street fighting or regular self-defense kind of schools. And if a person realizes, hey, listen, my goal is to become a competitor. I want to compete. Well then you need to search out schools that are going to specialize in that particular area. If you go to, let's say, a traditional martial arts school and you want to compete in, let's say, submission tournaments, you're going to be at a loss. You're going to be waiting a long time for that school to get around to teaching any kind of submission kind of tool. But on the other hand, if you're, let's say, a practitioner who wants to compete in submission tournaments, and you search out that BJJ school that's going to be able to do that, you're going to be a pretty happy camper. On the other hand, if you're, looking for, a way to learn, Korean culture, if you want to learn, let's say, karate moves or taekwondo moves, you go to, let's say, a Krav Maga school, again, you may be out of luck as well. So really being able to match up your needs to what the school produces or what the school kind of teaches, I think that's a huge need that's probably a first step people need, just need to take a look at. And kind of going back to your question then is, how do people find Jeet Kune Do schools? Once again, even when you find that Jeet Kune Do school, is that Jeet Kune Do school going to be able to give you what you want out of it more or less?
Yep, got it. And I think that's worthwhile advice for anybody, regardless of their goal. I realize most of my tuners are most likely going to be most interested in practical self-defense. But if you want to be a competitor, yeah, I mean, it's, hey, who's come out of this gym and has gotten this benefit out of it? Like, do you guys focus on this, and is there evidence of it? A place that has a bunch of, if a gym has produced 3 people that have competed in the Olympics for judo, I mean, at least they're good enough to produce Olympic level competitors. So if you want to be a competitor, great. Does that mean it's good for self-defense? Probably not. If they're running regular self-defense seminars for law enforcement, you can kind of pick up on the clues and see what is the track record, what do these people really do. And I think that that's apt advice for anybody looking to train martial arts, regardless of goal. Of course, self-defense makes no difference. So thank you for the practical advice there as well, Matt. I very much appreciate it. If people want to learn more about you, I know I'll have some semblance of links and be able to have folks kind of get connected to you if they're interested in learning more. Where could they find you and learn more on sort of GKD for self-defense themselves?
Absolutely. Probably the best place to go is to fearlessstreetfighter.com. That's probably the best place to go.
Okay.
That's just, the program that I offer there is a very straightforward program where people can get instruction in this art, but they're going to get it, in the written format. They're going to get, like I said, in pictures, but most importantly, they're going to get it in video. They're going to get video lessons the same way that I teach my regular classes. If by chance they can't find that kind of instruction in their area, they can go ahead and they can get that kind of instruction online. That's a great opportunity for them to learn something new, learn something different, learn something they may not have access to. And obviously the internet now gives us an opportunity to learn all these